My sister fell head over heels for the crown prince of the capital's elite circle at first sight. To create an opportunity, she didn't hesitate to drug him at a banquet. In my past life, seeing her prepare the drug, I tried to warn her out of kindness. The Carlos family's influence spanned both the legal and underworld realms. We couldn't afford to cross them. That night, Aiden Carlos ended up with another woman, and by the next day, he was swiftly engaged. On the surface, my sister said nothing, but on the way home, she pushed me off the overpass. I died instantly, crushed into a pulp by a speeding truck. With her last words, she cursed me for ruining her chance to marry into wealth. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the banquet. This time, I'll watch her dig her own grave. As Aiden drank the spiked wine, my sister stood in the distance, her eyes gleaming with calculation. 2 minutes later, the drug took effect. Aiden's face flushed unnaturally. His bodyguard immediately stepped forward, supporting him as they headed upstairs. I gave my sister a thumbs up and handed her the room key. Just as I was about to seize the opportunity to leave, she grabbed my arm firmly. In a low, threatening voice, she hissed, "Don't think I don't know what's going through your mind. You're not going anywhere until this is done. Stay by the door and keep watch. If you run into anyone from the Carlos family, you'd better know what to say and what not to say." She probably expected me to protest, as I had in the past, but this time, I simply let go of her hand. Glancing at the bodyguards in the distance, who had already noticed her, I smiled and said, "Don't worry, you're my sister after all. Who else would I help but you? Once you marry into the Carlos family, just don't forget your dear little sister." In my past life, she had been convinced that I was the one who ruined her chance to marry into wealth, and it had cost me everything. This time, I wasn't going to stop her. I was going to give her a push. Let's see how far she can take this self-destruction. Marie Volks didn't think much of it. She just tilted her chin up arrogantly and said, "Good, you're finally being sensible. Once I'm part of the Carlos family, I'll set you up with a job as a driver or secretary. That'll be enough to keep you comfortable for the rest of your life. Once we're upstairs, keep your mouth shut. If anyone asks, just say you're a server waiting for Mr. Aiden Carlos's instructions. If you ruin this for me, you know what'll happen." She shot me a sharp, piercing look, then grabbed my wrist and dragged me upstairs with her. The bodyguards stood vigil at the door, while my sister made an excuse to enter with a glass of water. Soon a dull thud echoed from inside, signaling that something heavy had fallen. I hid at the end of the hallway, keeping a close eye on the room. Moments later, Marie was dragged out, unconscious. The 5 bodyguards, leering with sinister grins, took her to the adjacent room. Seeing this, I breathed a sigh of relief, clapped my hands, and prepared to leave. But in the next instant, a heavy blow struck the back of my head. Darkness enveloped my vision, and I passed out. When I opened my eyes again, my limbs were bound to the bedposts with silk ribbons. Before me was Aiden's face, glistening with sweat. My eyes widened in shock, and I was about to cry out for help. But he silenced me with his lips, pressing them firmly against mine. "Don't think I didn't notice something was off with that drink tonight," he murmured, his voice low and dangerous. "Since you're the one who brought it, you'll have to deal with the consequences yourself." My cries for help were swallowed by the heated breaths that followed. Exhausted from the intense struggle, I had no strength left. Marie had somehow procured some drugs, and Aiden didn't stop tormenting me until dawn. Bearing the ache in every muscle, I waited until he fell asleep, before untying the silk ribbons and changing back into my clothes. Aiden was notorious for his ruthlessness and cruelty, and I wasn't foolish like Marie. I wasn't about to wait around for him to wake up and seek revenge. After meticulously erasing any trace of my presence in the room, I made my escape. Before leaving, I glanced toward the room where Marie was. The door was slightly ajar. Inside, the clothes of 5 bodyguards were scattered across the floor. She lay unconscious on the bed. I didn't make a sound and quietly slipped away. The moment I arrived home, my parents rushed to greet me. When they didn't see Marie with me, their faces darkened simultaneously. "Juliana, where's your sister? Why did you come back alone?" I remembered how, in my past life, they had blamed me for ruining Marie's opportunity and hadn't even bothered to collect my body. My patience with them had worn thin. Perhaps the medicine was a bit too strong. "Mr. Carlos must still be occupied," I said dryly. My mother's face, which had been clouded with anger, suddenly lit up with a radiant smile. "I always knew Marie was capable. This is not like some people who can't accomplish anything and only bring trouble. 20 years of raising you, and you're still nothing but a burden." My father didn't even glance at me, instead urgently urging my mother to go prepare a nourishing soup. They claimed that drinking it would ensure Marie would give birth to a son. I couldn't be bothered to argue with them and simply sank onto the couch to rest. Just as the soup was starting to simmer, Marie walked through the door. She was limping, her neck covered in dark bruises. It seemed she had no idea who she had been with the night before. The moment she saw me, she immediately launched into a tirade, listing all my supposed wrongdoings in front of our parents. She accused me of not keeping watch for her and failing to buy her the necessary medicine afterward. My mother's face turned red with fury. She slapped me across the face and shouted, "I knew you were useless. Good for nothing. How could I have raised such a burden? Your sister finally got a golden opportunity, and instead of helping, you just ran back home. You wouldn't even pick up money if it fell from the sky. You're destined to be a poor, miserable wage slave for the rest of your life." I covered my face, both furious and amused by her shameless words. I earn my living through my skills. Selling myself is something I'd never stoop to. My father, enraged, grabbed the ashtray from the coffee table and hurled it at my head. Blood instantly soaked through my clothes. He didn't even flinch, too busy berating me. "Work, work. All you know is work. Relying on your measly paycheck, your mother and I will be long dead before we see any benefit from you. You're useless yourself, and yet you dare to insult your sister. Look at what you are, utterly worthless. If I'd known this would happen, I should have just sold you off and saved myself the trouble. Marrying some poor guy for a few thousand in dowry. Do you think I'm running a charity here?" I pressed a tissue to the wound on my forehead, but the blood wouldn't stop. Disillusioned with this family, I couldn't hold back any longer. "I'm your daughter, not a piece of meat on display in a market. If you're so eager to sell your daughter, why don't you just open a brothel? Every penny I earn is mine. What's wrong with making a living through my abilities? If you despise me so much, why did you even bring me into this world in the first place?" My parents' eyes flickered with a hint of panic simultaneously. Just as they were about to lose their temper, Marie, brimming with pride, boasted, "Don't mind her. Once I have the baby and marry into the Carlos family, she'll be on her knees begging me." At her words, my parents immediately forgot about scolding me and eagerly inquired about the previous night's events. Marie blushed coyly. "You have no idea. Aiden Carlos isn't as indifferent to women as the rumors say. He kept me up all night, and I'm still sore. Only thing is, he was gone when I woke up, leaving just a bank card in the room. With all those times, I'm sure I'll get pregnant. The position of Mr. Carlos is as good as mine." My parents laughed so hard they nearly fell over, seemingly envisioning themselves as in-laws of the Carlos family. They had no understanding of the Carlos family's background or what the name Carlos truly signified. To dare scheme against Aiden Carlos, they wouldn't even know how they died when the time came. The urgent matter at hand was for me to sever ties with them as quickly as possible. Right now, they were treating Marie like a queen, endlessly praising their daughter for her achievements. They were plying her with all sorts of tonics and supplements, wishing she could give birth to the child immediately. Seizing the opportunity, I criticized their materialistic and greedy nature. As expected, my parents were instantly infuriated. My father kicked me off the couch, tore my page out of the family register, and threw it at me. "Get out. Leave right now. I don't have a daughter as useless as you." My mother, equally disappointed, looked at me with disdain. "Marie, rubbing her legs smugly, chimed in. I was going to introduce you to a secretary or driver so you could live comfortably. But since you're so keen on earning your own money, go ahead and move out. Don't come crying back to me when you get fired. Mission accomplished. I picked up the torn page from the floor with a smile. One day, you'll realize the Carlos family isn't as simple as it seems on the surface. Daring to scheme against Aiden Carlos, we'll see who ends up begging for mercy. I spent the night at a hotel, bought some medicine from a pharmacy, and tended to the wound on my forehead. The next day at work, I overheard my colleagues buzzing with gossip. Did you hear? Someone drugged Mr. Carlos last night, slept with him, and then vanished. He's going crazy trying to find them. Whoever did this must be out of their mind, messing with Mr. Carlos. The last person who tried that is probably 6 feet under by now. Isn't he engaged to the Sean family? Even though the Sean family's daughter has gone missing, the engagement hasn't been called off, someone remarked. Just then, David Sean appeared behind us, seemingly out of nowhere. His voice was icy as he said, "Do you all have too much free time on your hands? Is your work done? How dare you gossip about Mr. Carlos? Do you want to be silenced?" Upon his words, our colleagues scattered like leaves in the wind. David then turned his gaze to me, his eyes carrying a faint, almost imperceptible smile. He and Aiden had grown up together, their families being old friends with a deep connection. From David's decisive and ruthless demeanor in the business world, it was clear that Aiden was not someone to be trifled with. This time, Marie was definitely in trouble. Recalling my colleague's earlier comments, I went back and immediately wrote a resignation letter, submitting it without delay. If I couldn't handle the heat, I could at least stay out of the kitchen. My boss didn't ask for reasons and promptly approved my resignation. Fearing that Aiden might find out, I holed up in a rented apartment for a week before daring to step outside. In stark contrast, Marie was the opposite. She loitered around the Carlos Corporation building every day, almost hoping that Aiden would recognize her as the one who had drugged him that night. Unfortunately, Aiden's bodyguards passed by her countless times without even a glance in her direction. Marie was utterly desperate. She registered an account online under her real name, and every post she made mentioned that fateful evening banquet. After 10 consecutive posts, Aiden still hadn't reached out to her. In a bold move, she snapped a photo of the bank card and posted it online, claiming she had found it. This time, it finally paid off. Aiden publicly replied to her post with a comment. "That's my card. Could you please share your contact details? I'll come pick it up myself." I'm deeply grateful. His reply sent shockwaves across the internet. Screenshots of his comment instantly went viral, trending on social media. The usually stoic CEO's rare display of warmth was interpreted by netizens as a hint of something more intimate. Speculations ran wild, with many predicting that the kind-hearted woman who had found Carlos's lost item was about to rise to fame and fortune. Sharp-eyed netizens quickly dug through Marie's posts and uncovered her address. Almost immediately, they connected her to the person who had drugged someone that night. Before Aiden could even show up at her doorstep, opportunists had already flooded her home, eager to curry favor. A talent scout approached Marie with a collaboration offer, praising her for her pure and innocent looks, and assured her that she would become a star if she entered the entertainment industry. Meanwhile, people eager to curry favor with the Carlos family invited Marie to lavish dinners at high-end hotels, begging her to put in a good word for their companies in front of Aiden Carlos. Rumors spread like wildfire online, with many even betting that Aiden would break off his engagement with the Sean family. In just one day, Marie gained millions of followers, becoming the internet's newest sensation. Yet amidst the storm, she put on a show of asking everyone not to spread rumors, her cool and composed instantly winning over a legion of CP fans. However, this only fueled the gossip, making it even more rampant. I couldn't sit still any longer. I rushed out to transfer my household registration away from my family. When I returned that evening to pack my belongings, my parents were practically floating on air. their noses held high. They were glued to their phones, laughing nonstop at the comments online, as if they could already see themselves becoming in-laws with the Carlos family. I stayed silent and was about to head to my room to pack when my mother sneered coldly. "You don't even know how to enjoy good fortune. Truly destined for a life of drudgery, a waste of money." My father sighed deeply, his voice filled with disappointment. "When will you ever amount to half of what your sister has achieved? If you had, we would have been living next to the Carlos family long ago." Marie, her face adorned with a $1,000 face mask, strutted out of her room and stood before me. She gloated. "You probably haven't heard yet, have you? Aiden has already messaged me, saying he wants to meet me. He must have figured out that I was the one who helped him that night. And guess what? He didn't blame me. Maybe he's had his eye on me all along. I just took a test, 2 lines. You'd better start buttering me up now while you still can. After all, you're my sister. Once I marry into the Carlos family, it won't be hard for me to get you a job as a maid." Hearing about the 2 lines, my heart skipped a beat. I subtly placed a hand on my abdomen. "Was it you who spread those rumors online? Do you have any idea how formidable the legal team at the Carlos Corporation is? You're not helping our parents. You're dragging the whole family down with you." Just as I finished speaking, my mother saw the official statement from Carlos Corporation online, clarifying the rumors and warning that further dissemination would result in legal action. The once lively comment section was swiftly shut down. All of Marie's posts were taken down by the platform and her account was suspended as well. That's when panic truly set in. But clinging to her pride, she stared at the chat window for a long time without sending a message to Aiden. Just as her parents anxiously gathered around her, bombarding her with questions, Aiden finally reached out. "I'm sending someone to pick you up. Be downstairs in 5 minutes." The corners of Marie's lips, which had just settled, twitched upward uncontrollably again. She waved her phone screen in front of my face, a snug grin plastered across hers. "See? The Carlos Corporation is a big deal after all. Understandably, they'd want to keep things low-key. But look, my husband can't wait to explain everything to me in person. Someone as timid as you aren't even fit to carry my shoes. Get out of my way." With that, she shoved me aside and marched into the bedroom to change. My parents didn't hesitate to scold me either. "You don't have half your sister's talent, yet you're quick to pour cold water on her. What's the point of raising you? If you're going to leave, do it now. Don't stick around and waste our time." Tears welled up in my mother's eyes, but they were tears of excitement. This risky move paid off. Tonight, we might just be moving into a villa. Dad burst into laughter, holding the pregnancy test with 2 lines that she had taken, and exclaimed excitedly, "I never even dared to dream of this. The Carlos family, no less. We're moving up in the world now. Honey, quick, take a look. What do you think of this outfit for our daughter's wedding? I wouldn't want to embarrass her, would I? And when our grandchild is born, what should we give as a gift? We can't let the in-laws look down on us." Watching their excitement, I silently retreated to my bedroom to pack my things. As I left the house, I trailed behind them at a distance. Once we reached the ground floor, we were immediately surrounded by neighbors. Envious voices rose and fell around us. "Oh, you're so lucky to have a daughter like this. I saw the news online. If my daughter could marry into the Carlos family, I'd be laughing in my sleep. Look at you two, glowing with happiness. Even your gray hairs seem to have disappeared. If I'd known it would be this easy, I'd have had my daughter try her luck too. I thought Mr. Carlos would be hard to win over, but turns out he's just a man who can't resist temptation." I couldn't help but feel a wave of nausea rising in my throat, the urge to gag almost overwhelming. My parents were beaming from ear to ear, promising to invite everyone to the wedding. Amid the laughter and chatter, several police cars pulled up nearby, sirens blaring. The lead officer flashed his badge and asked, "Excuse me, which one of you is Miss Marie Volks? She is sus of spreading rumors and using illegal substances. Please come with us." Upon hearing this, the murmurs of envy around them instantly died down. Neighbors exchanged uneasy glances and instinctively took a few steps back. maintaining a safe distance as if afraid of being implicated. Marie's parents were visibly panicked, both tightly clutching her sleeves. "Sweetheart, what's going on? Who called the police? Didn't Mr. Carlos invite you out for a date? There must be some misunderstanding here, right?" Marie's smug expression froze on her face, her initial panic quickly replaced by an air of arrogance. She spoke with a haughty tone. "I and the Revolks. You must have the wrong person. Spread rumors? That's nonsense. I'm the future Mrs. Carlos, Mr. Carlos's fiancée. Do you even know who the Carlos family is? The Carlos Corporation? Whoever made that false report. Go find them. I have a date with my fiancé now, and if you waste my time, not even 10 of you officers could make up for it." Standing at a distance, I couldn't help but laugh at her shamelessness. "Sister, as far as I know, Mr. Carlos has never mentioned marrying you, let alone picking you up for a date. Isn't that exactly what spread rumors ours is?" Then I turned to the police. "You've got the right person. Please take her away." Marie was visibly furious at my words. Neighbors, hearing this, began to murmur among themselves. So it was all a scam. I knew someone as distinguished as Mr. Carlos wouldn't be blind enough to fall. So it was all a scam. I knew someone as distinguished as Mr. Carlos wouldn't be blind enough to fall for such a cheap trick. Calling him her fiancé when nothing's even settled yet. How shameless. In the old days, a woman like her would have been drowned in a pig cage. So, who knows? Maybe she's already sneaked into Mr. Carlos. Carlos's bed? I heard he was drugged the other day. Bet it was her doing. She looks decent, but is so desperate. What kind of parents would encourage their daughter to do such things? Her folks don't seem like good people either. We better stay away before Mr. Carlos takes his anger out on us. My parents' faces turned pale with suppressed rage. Marie stormed up to me, her hand flying toward my face in a vicious slap. "You bitch. I knew you were jealous of me. You called the cops, didn't you? No wonder you stayed silent and went straight to your room earlier. I thought you wanted to leave home, but you were just stabbing me in the back. Can't climb the social ladder yourself, so you envy me? I'll beat you to death today, you wretch." I couldn't dodge in time, and her slap left my cheeks swollen and red. Instead of stopping her, my parents stood behind her, their eyes filled with venom and hatred. "Shameless good for nothing. Can't make something of yourself, and now you're dragging us down with you. We shouldn't have brought you home in the first place." Realizing she'd said too much, my mother quickly covered her mouth. My father kicked me hard in the side. "Useless. What are you waiting for? To cancel the police report and send them away? If Mr. Carlos gets impatient, I'll break your damn legs." I covered my face, my eyes brimming with disappointment. I had always known that my preferred my sister over me, but I never imagined they would blame me for Marie's own mistakes. "I didn't call the police. I already said I'd leave home. I don't care. Dad, Mom, I'm your daughter too. Why do you all favor my sister? I don't blame you for kicking me out, but don't you dare make me take the fall for her. Not a chance." My father's chest heaved with rage, and in the next second, his hand shot up again. "You ungrateful brat, all these years of raising you, and this is how you repay us?" The police officer quickly stepped in to intervene, explaining, "There's been a misunderstanding. This lady isn't the one who called the police. She's not involved." But my mother ignored the officer's words, stubbornly insisting, how could it not be her? Who else would want to ruin things for us? She's been at odds with her sister since they were kids, always finding fault with everything. It's like she's here to collect debts. "Juliana, I'm telling you right now, you're no longer a daughter of this family. Get out of my house this instant." At that moment, Marie chimed in. "Exactly. I had nothing to do with the drugging. She was the one who gave the medicine to Mr. Carlos." "How can you blame me? I took the fall for her because she's my sister, and this is how she repays me? With betrayal?" "She's just jealous that Mr. Carlos took a liking to me. That's why she called the police. She's the one who drugged him. Arrest her already." The neighbors, who hadn't gone far, couldn't help but feel sorry for me. Poor kid, she's always been so sensible. She's always had to wear Marie's hand-me-downs. Both are their daughters, but I've never seen such biased parents. How could such a sensible girl be the one to drug someone? It's obvious who the real culprit is. What a tragedy. Their voices reached my parents, but they remained indifferent, their expressions unchanged. My heart shattered into pieces at that moment. Without a word, I grabbed my suitcase and prepared to leave. But just as I took a few steps, my father rushed over, grabbed my arm, and yanked the suitcase from my hand, hurling it to the ground. Clothes spilled out everywhere. "Where do you think you're going? You're not going anywhere until this is settled. Go with the police now and let your sister go on her date." The police tried to intervene several times but couldn't get a word in. Just then, a Rolls-Royce Cullinan pulled up beside us. As the car door swung open, Aiden's assistant stepped out onto the pavement. Marie's eyes lit up instantly, and she waved enthusiastically in his direction. "Over here, you must be the one Aiden sent to pick me up, right? Let's go, I'm all set." The assistant gave her a peculiar look, his brow furrowing slightly. "Miss, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm here to pick up Miss Juliana Volks." As soon as these words were spoken, not only Marie and my parents, but even I was stunned. Had he discovered what happened that night? A chill ran through me, and my voice trembled uncontrollably. "Pick me up? I had no idea about this." "Are you mistaken? I don't know Mr. Carlos." Marie, unaware of the events of that night, instantly flushed with anger. "You shameless wretch! I knew you were trying to seduce Mr. Carlos, you filthy slut!" With that, she reached out and grabbed the assistant's arm, unwilling to let go. "There must be some misunderstanding here. Mr. Carlos just sent me a message saying he would send someone to pick me up, but my sister, out of jealousy, called the police with a false report. Could you please explain this to the officers? It was my sister who dumped him that night. It had nothing to do with me." My parents were even more frantic. That's right. Carlos has always treated Marie with special care. She's the future lady of the Carlos family. She's even carrying the Carlos family's heir. This is the Carlos family's only golden grandson. How can she be taken to the police station? The assistant, his patience-worn Finn, pushed her hand away in disgust. Carrying the Carlos family's heir? Don't make me laugh. Mr. Aiden has never even met you. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't just say whatever you please. Everyone knows the Carlos family is engaged to the Sean family's daughter. I think you're the mistaken one. The people Mr. Carlos sent to pick you up are the police. The surveillance footage from the banquet that night has captured you drugging someone. The video has already been retrieved and handed over to the police. Today, the police are here to investigate this matter, the assistant declared, his voice cutting through the silence like a knife. The room fell into a stunned hush. My mother's face turned ashen, her legs giving way as she slumped against my father for support. Marie was in a state of panic, her eyes wide with disbelief. The neighbors, overhearing the assistant's words, cast looks of disdain towards our family of three. How dare they drug Mr. Aiden Carlos? Are they out of their minds? Trying to climb into bed by drugging someone, and then shamelessly claiming to be the future lady of the Carlos family? How laughable! How can someone be so shameless? I remember the last person who tried to drug Mr. Aiden is now 6 feet under. Looks like the Volks family is done for. The assistant, visibly disgusted, brushed off the spot on his sleeve where Marie had grabbed him earlier. He then pulled out a stack of documents from his bag and flung them onto their faces. Quote, "Here's the list of losses the Carlos group has suffered due to rumors causing a drop in stock prices. Take a look." Quote, "Mr. Carlos, in his kindness, has given you a 50% discount. 20 million should cover it. If there are no issues, please make the payment as soon as possible. Otherwise, we'll have to proceed with legal action." With that, he turned away, ignoring Marie's pale, stricken expression, and walked over to me. He respectfully picked up the clothes that had fallen to the ground, neatly folded them, and placed them back into the suitcase. "Miss Juliana Volks, please come in. Mr. Carlos has been waiting for you for quite some time." I nodded, feeling the weight of curious gazes upon me as I followed the assistant to the car. As we drove, a wave of nausea hit me unexpectedly. The assistant, seemingly prepared for this, promptly handed me a pack of sour plum candies. My eyes caught the bold letters on the packaging. especially for pregnant women. My hand, which had been clutching my chest, froze in place. Pregnant? Could I be pregnant? The realization hit me like a ton of bricks as I recalled that my period was late this month. A sense of dread began to creep into my heart. I need to go to the hospital, I blurted out, clutching my stomach. I think I have a stomachache. The assistant, ever the professional, was about to drive me there, but I was quicker. Before he could react, I had already stepped out of the car and hailed a taxi. Once inside the taxi, I smacked my forehead in frustration. How could I have forgotten to take the pill? Marie was scheming to use a child as her ticket into the Carlos family. But that was the last thing on my mind. Entering such a high society family would be like stepping into a lion's den for someone like me. My mind would be devoured without a trace. With a heart full of anxiety, I rushed to the hospital and registered gynecology department. Just after having my blood drawn, I spotted Aiden's figure in the corridor. I quickly lowered my head and put on a mask, hoping to avoid his gaze. But before I could take 2 steps, his bodyguards blocked my path. I recognized them. They were the same men who had dragged Marie into the next room that night. My throat tightened, and my fingers curled involuntarily with fear. I wondered if I could use what I knew about them to threaten Aiden. Just then, I heard David's voice. "It is uncanny," he said. "You've got a sharp eye. I've been looking for 2 years and never noticed." He chuckled. "You must have been staring at my sister's photo every day, huh?" Before I could respond, David greeted me with a smile. His demeanor was a stark contrast to the cold, stern expression he wore at the office. At this moment, his smile was as warm as a spring breeze. Yet I dared not meet his gaze. "Hello, Mr. David. What a coincidence. I came to the hospital because of a stomachache. If there's nothing else, I'll be on my way." I took a step, ready to bolt, but someone grabbed my wrist from behind. Aiden's voice was low and deliberate. "Leaving so soon, Miss Volks? Feeling guilty, are we?" At this point, I could only gamble that the effects of the drug that night had blurred his memory of my face. I clenched my teeth and turned around, forcing a smile. "Mr. Carlos, you're joking. Why would I feel guilty? I don't even know you." The corner of his lips curled into a teasing smirk as he reached out and picked up my blood test slip, glancing at it. "Stomachache, huh?" I nodded. "Then why does it say pregnancy test?" My face turned pale in an instant, and I stammered out an explanation. I must have made a mistake. Thank you, Mr. Carlos, for pointing it out. I'll go get my stomach checked right away." Before I could take a step, David raised an eyebrow and said, "What are you doing? You've scared Julie." He added with a hint of sternness, "That's another strike against you. Do you want to kneel before my parents and face the family discipline?" I didn't fully understand his words, but I knew that at that moment, he was the only one who could save me. I cautiously shuffled my feet and hid behind David, unaware of the gentle look in his eyes. In front of him, he took my hand and said softly, "This hospital is also under my ownership. I'll take you there." Before I could respond, he had already led me out. As we walked, he casually asked, "Where have you been staying since you resigned? I haven't heard from you lately." "In a rented apartment. Thank you for your concern, Mr. David," I replied. His gaze swept over me, lingering with an unspoken tenderness. "Is that all you're wearing? The salary from Carlos Corporation can't be that bad, can it?" I remained silent, my head hanging low. For the past 2 years, I had been terrified of my parents draining me dry, so I never dared to wear anything new. Everything I owned was cheap, bought from bargain apps. As if reading my thoughts, he gently ruffled my hair with a doting touch. "A girl should treat herself better. You don't have to hide anymore. Buy whatever you want from now on." Before I could wordily process his words again, "Actually, Aiden isn't as cold as he seems on the surface. He's a decent guy." "What do you think?" His words instantly transported me back to that absurd night. The memory of his burning touch made my ears flush. "He's definitely not cold." I couldn't help but wonder if he would remain so composed if he ever discovered that I was the one from that night. Lost in thought, I walked with my head down, unaware that he had already led me out of the hospital. When I finally looked up, I was taken aback. He gently tapped my nose and chuckled. "All right, go get rest. Did you really think I wouldn't notice you were lying?" Before leaving, his gaze lingered on my face, as if he were lost in a distant memory. "You're the same age as my sister. I wonder how she's doing now, if she blames me for not finding her all these years." I had heard bits and pieces about the missing Sean family heiress from my colleagues, but as an outsider, I couldn't offer much. All I could do was console him. "Don't worry. If Miss Sean knew how long you've been searching for her, she would forgive you. A family as loving as yours is something many people can only dream of." He smiled faintly, his eyes fixed on me. "And what about you? Do you envy it too?" I nodded firmly. After saying my goodbyes, I left the hospital, unaware that he was lost in thought, staring at a long strand of hair in his palm. I had just returned to my rented apartment when my parents bombarded me with messages, one after another. "You little brat, where have you run off to? Your sister is still in jail, and you think you can live the good life? Not a chance. This whole mess is your fault. If you had stopped her in time, our family wouldn't have sunk to this level. Your father and I have wasted all these years raising you. You ungrateful wretch, go confess in your sister's place. Say it was you who instigated it. You were the one who bought the drugs. Are you listening to me? Playing dumb won't help. Get your ass back here now." Even though I had mentally prepared myself, seeing such vicious and unreasonable abuse from my parents still chilled my heart. In my past life, I had tried to intervene in time. But not only did I not earn their gratitude, they joined Marie in blaming me, accusing me of blocking their path to wealth. After my death, not a single person was willing to claim my body, leaving it to grow cold in the morgue. Since everything I did was wrong, then I would do nothing at all. I quickly typed out a reply. "No way. Forget about me taking the fall for her or paying any fines. You were the ones who told me to get out and cut ties with the Volks family. Now that there's trouble, don't try to pin it on me." Then I blocked and deleted their numbers. Turning off my phone, I couldn't help but think about Aiden's attitude today, which left me utterly perplexed. Since the surveillance footage had been uncovered, he must have seen my figure on the screen that night. So why didn't he mention me when he reported it to the police? Not only did he not blame me, but today he even seemed to have a faint smile on his face. Before I could figure out the answer, my attention was hijacked by the overwhelming flood of news online. My parents somehow had managed to get in touch with the media. They twisted the truth, claiming that I had deliberately persuaded my sister to drug Aiden and then helped her climb into his bed. Now that the truth had come to light, they accused me of playing the victim by reporting her to the police, resulting in her arrest. They even blamed me for saddling the family with a staggering debt of $20 million, while I had supposedly cut ties with them and was living it up on my own. Netizens, unaware of the full story, had also seen the recent gossip about Marie and Aiden. In the blink of an eye, they tore me apart online. They called me a scheming mastermind who had framed my sister, accused me of spreading rumors to provoke the Carlos family, and heartlessly abandoned elderly parents. Everyone labeled me as an ungrateful wretch, a traitor who had betrayed my family and defied all moral principles. My name was plastered all over the trending topics with insults and accusations. My personal social media account was flooded. My personal social media account was flooded with so much hate that it got suspended. Someone had leaked my phone number. Before I could even file a complaint, the harassment calls started pouring in, one after another. I had no choice but to turn off my phone. But they didn't stop there. Just 2 days ago, I finalized the purchase of a new house through a real estate agent. In the blink of an eye, someone dug up the address. That very night, buckets of paint were splashed across my door. Bricks shattered my windows. With my phone turned off, I couldn't even call the police. All I could do was sit on my bed, wide awake, waiting for dawn to break. In the early hours of the morning, the chaos outside finally subsided. Only then could I catch a moment of rest. The next day, when I went to the hospital to pick up my medical results, I noticed the strange looks people were giving me. It was then that I finally turned on my phone, only to find that the trending topics filled with curses against me had been taken down. In their place were headlines about how my parents had abused me, their own daughter, for years. My teachers and classmates from childhood all came forward to speak up for me, to clear my name. I've never been the bad kid my parents always labeled me as. During my school years, I was so strapped for cash that I couldn't even afford textbooks. Every year, I had to make do with my older sister's hand-me-downs. I didn't read any further. The moment I got the investigation results, my mother appeared out of nowhere, charging at me like a storm. She snatched the report from my hands and slapped me hard across the face. "You little wretch, I knew you were up to no good," she spat, her voice dripping with venom. "So that's why you had your sister arrested. You're pregnant with some bastard's child and thought you could worm your way into the Carlos family. As if you're worthy, disgusting." Before I could even react, my father kicked me square in the side. I stumbled, barely managing to keep my balance. "You disgrace, pregnant out of wedlock. Whose bastard is it?" he roared, his face red with fury. "You've shamed the Volks family name. All this time acting so high and mighty, and now you've betrayed your sister just to climb into some rich family's lap. Are you even human? All these years we've been feeding a dog, not a daughter." My mother's face twisted with rage, her features almost unrecognizable. "Juliana, listen to me," she hissed, her voice low and menacing. "Whether you like it or not, you will take the blame for your sister. You have no choice. Do you think getting pregnant will get you into the Carlos family? Dream on. It was your sister who slept with Aiden that night. That bastard child of yours must be aborted." As soon as the words were spoken, a group of police officers swiftly rushed in, surrounding me. Aiden followed behind, his face dark and, "Dare call my child a bastard? You're really asking for trouble, aren't you? Careful your tongue doesn't slip. That night, who knows how many men Marie slept with, and now you're trying to pin it on me." He waved his hand, and his assistant immediately produced the surveillance footage from the hotel corridor that night. The video clearly showed Marie being dragged into the adjacent room by 5 bodyguards. My parents' faces turned pale in an instant. How could this happen? Before they could utter another word, the bodyguards swiftly covered their mouths and dragged them out. Aiden pulled a ring from his pocket and knelt before me, proposing in front of everyone. The scene unfolded so abruptly that I was left stunned for a long moment. David hurried in, clutching a paternity test report in his hand. He slapped it onto Aiden with a smirk, his voice low and threatening. Through his explanation, I finally understood that I was the long-lost daughter of the Sean family. The one who was betrothed to Aiden was also me. That night at the banquet, when I was serving wine, he immediately recognized the vermilion birthmark on my neck. That's why he ordered his bodyguards to knock me out and bring me in. David declined Aiden's hasty proposal on my behalf and took me back to the Sean family to reunite with my relatives. My parents held me tightly and wept for a long time. They then led me to the room I had as a child. It took me quite some time to adjust to my new identity. A month later, Aiden held a new engagement banquet. He invited all the prominent figures in the business world to introduce my identity. He said that from the moment he first saw me as a child, he had decided that he would marry no one but me. Our meeting at that banquet was fate. That day also marked the imprisonment of Marie's parents and Marie. This time, they had to secretly envy other people's families. I had a brother now. I had parents who loved me. And in the future, I would also have Aiden.